Is evil a fundamental reality, an objective force woven into the fabric of our universe? Or is it merely a phantom, a complex illusion constructed by the human mind? If the cosmos is guided by profound spiritual laws, why do we witness so much pain, conflict, and devastation? Today, we embark on a profound journey into the heart of this ancient question. We will explore the deepest insights offered by some of humanity's most enduring philosophical and spiritual traditions. From the dualistic principles of Hermeticism to the mindful awareness of Buddhism, from the mystical heart of Christianity to the esoteric depths of Kabbalah, we will seek to unravel the great mystery of evil's existence. Prepare yourself for an exploration that may forever. When we turn our gaze to the ancient wisdom of the East, particularly the traditions of Hinduism and Buddhism, we encounter a startling proposition. What we label as evil may be nothing more than a profound misunderstanding, a distortion of reality, born from an unenlightened mind. Imagine a traveler, lost in a dense fog, who mistakes the gnarled branches of a tree for menacing monsters. In the same way, we often find ourselves lost in the fog of duality, perceiving evil where, in reality, there is only ignorance. In the Hindu tradition, this grand illusion is known as Maya, the intricate web of appearances that convinces us that the material world and its inherent pains are the ultimate reality. However, the great masters of this path teach us that our true self is not this physical body, nor is it our racing mind or our fleeting emotions. Suffering, they explain, arises directly from our identification with the ephemeral, with all that is transient. From this viewpoint, evil is simply the long shadow cast by our own limited vision. The revered sage Adi Shankaracharya, a master of Advaita Vedanta, famously compared this illusion to a man entering a darkened room and recoiling in fear from what he perceives to be a snake. The moment a lamp is lit, he realizes his fear was misplaced. It was merely a coil of rope. So it is with evil. It appears real, it feels threatening, but its substance completely dissolves when illuminated by the light of pure consciousness. Buddhism follows a very similar path of reasoning. The Buddha taught that suffering, which we so often equate with the presence of evil, originates within the mind and its defilements. We desperately cling to pleasure and frantically flee from pain. Trapped in this cycle of attraction and aversion, we become prisoners of perpetual dissatisfaction. But what if evil wasn't an external force at all? What if it were simply a consequence of our flawed perception of the world? For Buddhism, everything we perceive as malevolent stems from three roots: ignorance, attachment, and aversion. There is no cosmic entity plotting against us, no grand principle of darkness battling a principle of light. There is only the illusion of a separate, isolated self, a play of shadows that tricks us into believing in the solid existence of something that, in ultimate reality, has no substance. The Buddha's famous declaration, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional," holds the key. This means that life will always present challenges, but how we engage with them determines whether we experience suffering or growth. Evil, therefore, becomes a matter of perspective. To a person who is spiritually asleep, the world seems hostile, filled with mistakes, losses, and hardships. But for one who awakens, every painful moment contains a precious lesson, and every shadow simply highlights the need for more light. As long as we remain ensnared in the illusion of the ego, we will continue to see a fragmented world, starkly divided between good and evil, pleasure and pain, right and wrong. But when we transcend this limited viewpoint, we begin to see that everything is part of a single, unified flow, a grand process of cosmic learning. In this understanding, evil ceases to be an enemy to be vanquished, and instead becomes a powerful teacher. Just as darkness has no existence of its own, it is merely the absence of light. Evil can be understood as the absence of true understanding. When consciousness dawns, the darkness simply dissipates. If we observe the natural world, we see that it operates through pairs of opposites: day and night, heat and cold, expansion and contraction. Neither of these elements can exist in isolation. Each is understood only in relation to its counterpart. This fundamental principle of duality is at the core of Hermeticism, a tradition that views evil not as a cosmic error, but as an absolute necessity for the good to be recognized and manifested. Hermetic philosophy is famously summarized in the axiom, "As above, so below." It teaches that the universe is governed by immutable laws, one of which is the principle of polarity. This principle states that everything has two poles, and that these opposites are actually two extremes of the same thing, differing only in degree. Just as cold and heat are merely different vibrations on the same thermal spectrum, good and evil are not separate forces but two ends of a single continuum. This implies that evil cannot simply be eradicated from the universe, because its very existence is required to give meaning to good. If we never experienced pain, how could we truly appreciate peace? If there were no darkness, how could we even perceive light? In this context, evil is not an independent entity, but a necessary condition for the experience of spiritual evolution. The material world, in this view, is a grand training ground, a place where the soul must learn through direct experience. Challenges, adversities, and even moments of profound suffering act as catalysts for transformation. Just as fire tempers steel, our difficulties forge our spirit, compelling it to evolve. Mythologies across the world are rich with symbols expressing this truth. In Zoroastrianism, we see the cosmic struggle between Ahura Mazda, the principle of light, and Angra Mainyu, the principle of darkness. In Taoism, the concept of yin and yang beautifully illustrates that within light there is a seed of darkness, and within darkness a seed of light. Both are essential for the harmony of the universe. From this perspective, true wisdom lies not in trying to eliminate one of the poles, but in understanding its function and learning to find a point of balance between them. Duality is the instrument of consciousness. By experiencing pain and darkness, the human soul develops the capacity to consciously choose the path of light. There is no merit in a journey without obstacles. A warrior does not become strong without a battle to fight. A seed cannot sprout without first breaking through the resistance of the earth, and a human being cannot awaken without first confronting their own inner shadows. Since the dawn of human consciousness, the dynamic between good and evil has often been framed as a fundamental choice. At the heart of Christian theology, this concept is paramount. In this tradition, evil is not an independent cosmic force that rivals God. Rather, it is the direct result of free will. God, being defined as infinite love and perfect goodness, did not create evil. Instead, he granted his creations, angels and humans, the freedom to choose between aligning with the light or turning towards darkness. For without the liberty to err, there would be no genuine virtue in doing good. A love that cannot be refused is not true love. A goodness that cannot be questioned is not authentic goodness. This entire framework is rooted in the foundational story of the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve are placed in a perfect paradise, with only one prohibition: not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But why place the tree there at all, if the goal was a world without sin? The answer lies in the profound value of freedom. The existence of evil, therefore, is not a flaw in creation, but a necessary consequence for the good to hold any meaning. Without the possibility of choosing the wrong path, the right path ceases to be a choice and becomes a mere imposition. This idea is further reinforced by the figure of Lucifer, the light-bringer, an angel who, out of pride, chose to rebel against the divine order. His fall from grace symbolizes freedom taken to its ultimate extreme, the rejection of one's source. Evil, then, emerges when a being endowed with free will chooses to distance itself from the ultimate source of all good. The influential theologian, Saint Augustine, argued that evil is not a substance in itself, but rather a privation of good, just as darkness is merely the absence of light. He contended that everything God created is good, and what we call evil is what happens when something good is corrupted or misused. Humanity was not created for wickedness, but by turning away from God, we create a vacuum of goodness that manifests in the world as evil. This leads to a profound human dilemma. If we possess the freedom to choose, why do we so often choose the path that leads to suffering? In the New Testament, the Apostle Paul laments this very struggle. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. This internal battle between our higher inclinations and our lower tendencies has been a constant companion to humanity throughout its history. Christianity does not paint a picture of humanity doomed to failure. Instead, it offers a path back through repentance and redemption. The parable of the prodigal son perfectly illustrates this. A son who squanders his inheritance and hits rock bottom chooses to return to his father, who welcomes him with open arms. The ultimate purpose of freedom, in this view, is not to condemn, but to provide the opportunity to consciously and willingly return to the light. Kabbalah, one of the deepest mystical traditions in the world, teaches that evil and pain are not here to punish or torment us. Instead, they function as a demanding teacher, designed to propel our consciousness towards a profound awakening. Suffering confronts us with lessons we might otherwise ignore. It forces us to look inward, to question our deepest beliefs, and to seek a greater meaning in our existence. According to Kabbalistic cosmology, at the moment of creation, the infinite light of the Creator filled all of existence. However, for individual souls to exist, a contraction or a deliberate withdrawal of this light was necessary. This primordial act, known as tzimtzum, created a state of perceived lack and separation, which we experience as suffering. Evil, from this mystical perspective, is not an external enemy, but the raw experience of the absence of the Creator's light. When we feel disconnected from our divine source, we experience pain, fear, and confusion. But this absence serves a divine purpose. It is meant to inspire us to consciously seek reconnection. Therefore, suffering is not an obstacle on our path. It is the path itself. Every difficult experience, every moment of darkness, contains a hidden message. If everything were perfect from the start, there would be no impetus for movement, no drive for transformation. We need the friction of pain to question ourselves and expand our awareness. This is what the Kabbalists call tikkun, the correction or rectification of the soul. Every soul enters this world carrying specific imperfections that need to be refined, and these imperfections are revealed to us through our suffering, not as a punishment, but as a divine invitation to evolve. If we do not learn the lesson a particular pain is trying to teach us, it will return again and again, not out of cruelty, but out of the universe's loving insistence that we finally awaken. With each challenge we overcome, our soul ascends, and what once seemed like an unbearable burden is transmuted into profound wisdom. This transforms our relationship with adversity. Instead of seeing ourselves as victims of a cruel fate, we can become spiritual alchemists, transmuting the lead of our pain into the gold of higher consciousness. Our responsibility is not to passively endure suffering, but to actively engage with it, to find the hidden spark of divine light within the darkness, and to bring more of that light into the world through our actions, our kindness, and our compassion. So, if evil is an illusion, a necessary contrast, a choice, or a teacher, what is our role in relation to it? How can we position ourselves not just to understand it, but to transcend it? The unifying lesson from all these traditions is this: evil cannot be overcome through brute force, denial, or fear. Its transcendence occurs not through its destruction, but through its transformation. Just as darkness vanishes when a light is switched on, evil dissolves in the presence of genuine understanding and wisdom. The first key is self-knowledge. Often, the evil we perceive in the external world is a mirror reflecting the shadows we carry within ourselves. As the psychologist Carl Jung stated, we must integrate our own shadow, all the repressed, unacknowledged parts of our psyche. The judgment we cast upon others is often a manifestation of the internal battles we refuse to face. The second key is the conscious choice for good. If evil arises from free will, then every small decision we make can be a deliberate move toward the light. This is not just about avoiding harmful actions, but actively working to introduce more harmony, compassion, and understanding into the world. The third key is to use suffering as a tool for learning. If we approach adversity with a sense of victimhood, we sink deeper into it. But if we can ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" we transform it into a guide that leads us to deeper levels of resilience and empathy. A fourth key is the balance between acceptance and transformation. True wisdom lies in the middle path, accepting what cannot be changed, while acting decisively on what can be. Knowing the difference is a hallmark of spiritual maturity. Finally, perhaps the most profound path is the expansion of consciousness. The more we awaken to the vast reality of existence, the more we realize that what we once labeled as evil was often just a limitation of our own perspective. The universe operates according to laws and on levels that our rational minds cannot fully comprehend. What we judge as a tragedy may, in fact, be part of a cosmic movement far grander than we can imagine. As we expand our vision, we begin to perceive the intricate patterns, the hidden intelligence behind the events of life, and recognize that everything, the light and the shadow, is part of a grand, unfolding process of learning and becoming. If this exploration has made you reflect, please share it with others who might benefit, and leave a comment below with your own thoughts. What do you believe? Is evil real, or is it an illusion? Thank you for watching. If this video was helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And now, leave a comment below and tell us one thing you are grateful for today.